play right, cause they can't miss. All about the game, that's a cold switch. Serving up the truth, call it ruthless. Tune in and get your fix from Blake and Vish Sports.
But another team that has been making a strong push towards the playoffs, looked really good in week 1 and 2, is this Cowboys team. So obviously last year Dak got injured and was out a lot. They had Dalton. They had a lot of injuries on the offensive line. Defense was bad. This year they're looking a lot better. Dak's back. The offense has been really strong. O-line's been a little healthier, although Collins is out. And the defense has stepped up a lot too, getting a lot of help from the rookie Micah Parsons. But Vish, do you think the Cowboys have what it takes to win this NFC East as of right now?
Yeah, I think they've looked by far the best team in the NFC East. I kind of wrote Dallas off. I thought this defense sucked. I thought Mike McCarthy sucked. I wasn't sure how Dak Prescott would look after his injury. And they made me look wrong in every front except Mike McCarthy, who, I mean, what the hell was the clock management at the end of that football game? Luckily, Legatron bailed him out, but Greg the Leg can't be bailing you out from 56 yards in that situation. That was horrible. But going back, I mean, first off, the first question: how would Dak Prescott look after his injury? Well, week 1 said Dak Prescott looks unbelievable. Week 2 says Dak Prescott looks unbelievable. I mentioned it when we talked about it in our 50th episode special. Dak Prescott is one of the smartest quarterbacks in the NFL. It doesn't get talked about enough. He is so smart. He always knows where to go with the ball. He's so accurate. He's so consistent. He can be relied upon. His pocket movement is amazing. He's just a really, really, really good quarterback. Their receivers are incredible. CeeDee Lamb was the guy who had the big game yesterday or Sunday. Amari Cooper had obviously the massive week 1, but between him and Cooper, it's amazing. And I think guys like Jarwin are pretty good. Tony Pollard out of the backfield is really good. Zeke's still obviously not Zeke, but he's still pretty good. But and Michael Gallup, who unfortunately pulled his calf, but when he comes back, he'll add an added element because he's really, really good. And so their offense, obviously, we knew it would be those things. We just weren't sure about their defense. And I thought their defense would take an even further step back when Tank Lawrence got hurt, because DeMarcus Lawrence is a really good player. And when he broke his foot and I saw he was out, I saw, okay, Dallas is done for. And Micah Parsons was special on Sunday, playing defensive end for the first time since college. He looked natural playing defensive end. Heck, he looked like one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. I don't think he's going back to linebacker, honestly, because he has the perfect height, weight, speed to be a defensive end, and he just looked natural, just beating tackles off the edge. I mean, he abused the Chargers backup right tackle with Balaga out. He dominated Micah Parsons. One of the things we talked about before the draft, I think I had Owusu Koromoa. I thought he was the best linebacker in the draft. I think you said Micah Parsons. But my big thing was I thought Micah Parsons sometimes got lost doing just normal linebacker things and coverage and stuff like that. But I thought his best trait was that he was an unbelievable blitzer. But forget blitzing. He's an unbelievable pass rusher, and he put that on total display. The Dallas defense looks a lot better under Dan Quinn. Everybody seems to know where they're going. Trayvon Diggs is a good fit for that scheme, and he's played pretty well as a starting corner for them. I'm shocked by how good Dallas is, and we knew before the season that they had by far, not even close, the best quarterback in this division, and we thought that would give him a chance. It seems like they might also have the best all-around team in the division as well through 2 weeks. Dallas looks really, really, really good for that division, not in general.
I think the defense has been a lot better than anyone anticipated. They were not good last year. They drafted a lot of young guys. First 3 rounds, they took a lot of guys, the main one being Micah Parsons, and he has been really, really good. Week 1, he got abused in coverage a little bit, but that's what happens when you play Gronk and just the Buccaneers all-pro wide receiver core. That'll happen. But he played pass rusher a lot, and yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned it. That right tackle, the rookie, he was not looking too good just in general, having to guard Parsons. Whether it was inside, just beating him with speed, or going outside, he was in Herbert's grill all day. So he obviously had a great game. Diggs had the clutch interception early on, which was really, really impressive. And just in general, I thought the defense, for the level of talent and what our perception was of them before the season has shown up to be a lot better than we thought. And then the offense, I personally love just the 2 running back sets that they do with Gallup, or not with Gallup, but with Pollard and Zeke. Pollard's super explosive and fast. Should get the ball more. He really should. I've been a big fan of his just because of how fast and explosive he is, and he's more of the scat back type where I don't know if you'd want to run him between the tackles for 20 to 25 times a game, but getting him on the edge and outside is just really effective. And I still think Zeke has something in the tank. I don't think he's completely washed. He's certainly a little overpaid for being a running back, but he still is fine. And then their receivers are just big time. Any given week, Amari and Lamb can combine for 200 yards and a couple touchdowns. Like, that is not out of the question any week. So having those 2 big of threats, and then obviously you have Dak, who's a top 8 quarterback, it really helps a lot. And the O-line has been better than last year, although that center position is still a bit worrying in general. But I'm with you. I think from what we've seen so far, the Cowboys have looked like the strongest team in the NFC East. And I don't think it has been particularly close, especially with Washington coming out pretty flat in general. And same with the Giants, too. I don't think either of them have been that great. The Eagles have looked – I mean, they played great week 1. They played the Niners close. They've probably looked like the second best team in the division at this point.
Yeah. But I also think Philly just lost Brandon Graham and Brandon Brooks, both to Brandon Graham tore his Achilles. Brandon Brooks has a serious chest injury. So I question how good Philly can be if those are 2 of their better players. So from that standpoint, I think Philly will go back to what we expected. I think Dallas by far looks like the best team. Washington's defense is really not that good. It's definitely not what we expected it to be. The front 4 is good, but they don't have anything outside of their front 4 in terms of defensive line depth. And their front 4 to me is not as dominant as we all projected it to be. To me, Jonathan Allen, he's an absolute monster. To me, he's the best player on that defense. But Chase Young is good, obviously. But I think we overrated them, honestly, coming into the season. They didn't take the next step that we expected. I don't think there's that far of a difference, honestly, between their defense and Dallas's defense from what I've seen so far, especially when you pair it with Dallas's offense is exponentially better than their offense. Dallas's offense is unbelievable. Dak Prescott is fantastic. And so overall, I'm interested to see who does win this division. I'm kind of mad at myself that I wrote off Dallas. But they definitely look like the best team so far. We'll see how it goes, but I think Dallas has been pretty pleasant surprise 2 games into this season.
Yeah, and it hasn't even been that their offense has been like great. Because I think seeing what they did at the beginning of last year, their offense was really good. It's more so been that their defense isn't just getting run all over. Teams aren't just throwing for 400 yards on them like with ease. It's really a lot better than what we had seen in the past and even thought it could be. And yeah, I'm with Washington. Like, you think this defense would dominate more so than it has. And I know Daniel Jones plays really well against them for whatever reason, but I don't understand how their defensive line and just defense in general is not winning them more games. You would think they would, but
the 6-minute drive the Chargers had on them to close that game, that was warning sign number 1. Because if you have a high level defense, that should never happen, no matter how good Justin Herbert is.
I mean, the Cowboys defense did really good against the Chargers, and they did better against the Chargers than Washington did.
Yeah, and they did it in SoFi and the Washington football team was playing at home. I mean, obviously you can't evaluate it like that, but I do think that it gives you an idea of that Dallas's defense is really not as bad as we expected it to be, and Washington's defense is certainly not as good as we thought it could be.
It's early on, but the Cowboys have looked good in the NFC East so far.